the Sports Betting Network.
Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss, Paulie Howard with you live downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Loaded show over the next 3 hours here on a Football Friday. Pat Forty on college football, 1 hour from right now. Doug Kazarian says he has a long shot bet to win the MVP and other best bets from him this week. Mike Somich, VSiN host, with his best bets and player props coming up a little bit later on. And Nigel Seeley with soccer bets. Paulie, I don't know about you, but pretty much the only thing I could think about last night during that awesome 3-hour spot on national TV, right, in the snow, was please, for the love of God, give us the same exact conditions for the college football playoff. I need to have those at least three Midwestern teams hosting SEC teams, and we need the snow to be coming down later on in December.
Yep. It's too bad we only got it for a half, but that second half was full Cleveland, as Rizzo would say. I mean, it's so bad, actually good, that Michaels couldn't tell if a field goal went through the uprights.
Neither could I.
It was coming down sideways, and that was awesome. And just the accumulation and the views from up top from Amazon, and it turned out to be a great game as well. So we got everything. But as you said before the show, though, the big takeaway, and we talked about this, boots on the ground, is it snow, is it rain? Really don't care. Just tell me about the wind.
Right.
How windy is it? Because you can still move the ball in snow and even rain. I just need to know how windy it's going to be.
That was exactly, okay, so along with thinking of, down the road, college games, please, give us Georgia in Happy Valley against Penn State in a whiteout. I can't even imagine what that's going to look like if that's a possibility. Yeah. Besides that, the other thing was exactly what you just pointed out, right? The betting takeaway is points can be scored, and I know it kind of broke loose in the fourth quarter. The rest of the game, not a lot happened, but isn't that funny? When the conditions were good, not a lot of scoring.
Right.
When the conditions got worse in terms of precipitation, that's when the game exploded, and you're fine betting stuff like, for example, Russell Wilson passing yards over. No problem last night. He, in fact, had 270 in that game. So his ladder bets paid out handsomely last night, and the game eventually went over the total. Not going to be afraid to attack it again, player props, or maybe with points being scored overall, as long as the winds are not like 20, 25, 30 miles an hour. Totally fine with it.
And back up to what you said earlier. If we get multiple playoff games like that to start, would they say, I don't want a game decided like this? Or will they say, if it's an SEC team and they lose, well, that's it. We don't want to do that because the SEC loves to cry about everything.
Yeah, but it's, okay, correct me if I'm wrong on this. Isn't that the way football was meant to be played?
I know, I'm with you. Yes.
Now, I got some pushback on this last night when I said there is nothing better in sports than snow football. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
But you and I are from the Midwest.
Yeah.
People from the coast were saying, I don't want my football played in snow. I don't want it played in poor weather. I think you're out of your minds.
You will get some, I don't want a playoff game decided by weather. But that's part of, okay, win your games then. Get a better seed.
Right.
That's an advantage. It would be. If it plays out this way, that's a big advantage for Penn State, Indiana, or Notre Dame. So, win your games and get a better seed.
Who doesn't like January football in the playoffs in Green Bay or Buffalo or Kansas City? And then, by the way, like Al Michaels last night, how many times on the broadcast, and I love Al Michaels, did he actually say, look at that snow? Can you believe it? Nobody's left. Yeah, Al, you're from California. I think the feedback that we're going to get, again, from warm weather climates, those pockets of the country, you might be soft. But if you think that Cleveland and Pittsburgh sports fans are soft, or fans in the Midwest or the Northeast, what is wrong? What? Have you not been paying attention for the last 40 years?
That was a bizarre comment.
I couldn't believe it.
And they stick it out through the cold weather, whatever. Yeah, they're not going anywhere. They were loving that. But the other one, and this guy is so polarizing, and just in that city, what they think of him. And everyone knows about the record and all that, but that was one of the worst coach games in terms of clock management, decision-making by Tomlin you're ever going to see. So once again, he loses to a bad team. The 3 losses this year are the Colts, Cowboys, and Cleveland. And it's a game where you move the ball and score. I can say it because I can't prove it. I think Tomlin might be the only guy who would try a 58-yard field goal in those conditions. Why would you accept the penalty to make it 3rd and 7, and then you burn a timeout? What are you doing? And in the biggest play of the game, it's more on Art Smith, but on the biggest play of the game where you can lock it up 3rd and 4, Fields is out there, and you throw a deep pass down the sideline in a blizzard.
They lost their minds last
Come
night.
on.
And I think Mike Tomlin lost Coach of the Year because of the game.
Yeah, you might have something there. Yeah,
Because they have more losses coming too.
Yep, that's a good point. No, your comeback would be they really step their game up, and they're at the best when they play the top teams. But that is just, you got to beat the bad teams.
Okay.
And that decision-making, what in the world happened in that sequence around the 2-minute warning? Come on, put them on 4th down, get a stop, you win the game.
First of all, every person in the world was confused. Right? Like, is it going to go back to 3rd and 7, or is it 4th and 7?
Well, number one, that was an intentional grounding.
Of course it was.
That's ridiculous.
How do they not call that first and foremost?
Yeah, that's intentional grounding. They blew the call.
And every single eyeball in the stadium, from the referees anyway, should be on that almost. Like, it's so obvious. I don't know how you missed that.
And it would have been 4th and 15 if they get the call right.
But that's actually, so they didn't. They screwed that up. But then to pile on, and there's a 3-minute break, at least the way it felt, right? In real time. And again, how many times do they go back and forth? Wait a second, it's going to be 4th down. No, hold on here. It's going to be 3rd and 7. Well, wait, what do the rules actually say? And then so it finally comes down that for some reason, and by the way, do the Browns even go for it at 4th and 2, or do they trot? Because
maybe they kick, but it's...
If they trot Hopkins out there,
I know.
That's part of the play, right?
Sure.
They had to make up their minds. What are they going to do? Because if they don't get it, game's over with. But if Hopkins comes out there's a very good chance he misses the field goal. But instead, he decides, no, we'll push him back to make it a 3rd down, and then he calls a timeout? Baffling decision by that dude last night.
Yep.
And then, so the Browns get the 1st down, as you all know. Later on the drive near the goal line, why do you not let them score immediately?
Mm-hmm. That's another one.
And even the Pittsburgh players, they look so confused out there. Eventually they let Chubb score, and I think the thought was, why don't we let him score earlier?
Yep.
To leave as much time as possible on the clock. So he completely whiffed all of that last night.
Why do you bring Fields in, who had a long run, and big reason why you wrapped up the game against Baltimore, and it's 3rd and 4 in those conditions, and that's what you do down the sideline on a long pass to Pickens.
I couldn't believe it. That whole stretch was just, man.
That is a low percentage throw there and completion rate. I mean, that's baffling.
Also, I can't imagine that Cleveland's going to do this, but they are. They're going to actually build a dome stadium. You've completely lost me, Cleveland. Buffalo was going to do that, but I think they got talked out of it. You lose all of your appeal.
Well, I know. That goes back to what happened when they lost to Cincinnati at home. And we were better off if there was no snow here.
Yeah, but
how we're different how we're built. And more of an aerial assault, and we don't play that way. But I'm with you. Go back to the Jim Kelly teams.
I think it's a massive mistake for these cold weather teams that don't have domes to actually consider doing that and go along with it. You know how we said a million times Dan Campbell's a perfect guy for that city. Is Jameis Winston kind of like the perfect guy at quarterback for the Browns? 10 years now in the league.
Well, this whole season's unfortunate. We just saw the end of Danny Dimes today in New York. I would think with what's gone on the last, 8 games he's missed, we'll never see Watson again between the injury and how the offense has looked.
He can't play.
I mean, they lost last week, but they still threw for 400 yards. I mean,
yeah, there's that. And also, one more takeaway from the snow on TV last night. We don't need the hash marks and the yard markers superimposed on TV. I actually think it adds a little bit of charm to it when you got to try to figure out where they're at on the field. We're not stupid. You don't have to have it like that. You don't have to have the fake numbers on the field. I feel that way anyway. And my phone was blown up from friends of mine saying the same exact thing, and I totally concurred with that. So then you go from that spot last night to how about this now? The first Thursday night flex, Week 16, Broncos in Los Angeles taking on the Chargers. That's going to go down to Thursday night on Prime Video. And the Browns, who we watched last night at Cincinnati, nope, you're going to be played on Sunday at now 1 o'clock Eastern time.
I don't know what took so long.
But it's the right move.
I know, but there's it's got to be a 28-day window where they have to provide notice.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's a long time.
It is, and they can only do it twice. So if there's a couple more stink bombs, you got to sit there and eat it. But that's surprising with the rules that they're only allowed to do it twice. But you couldn't. That's what they ran into here. I mean, you got so many Dallas and Cleveland games. We already sit through all the Jet stuff, but so much Dallas and Cleveland come up. How many times can you flex? And I know Randy McKay sent a tweet in about last year. Denver was at home against Kansas City, and they flexed out of it. Why they didn't do it coming up? I can't believe Browns-Denver's on coming up next week. But, yeah, there's a lot of trash games prime time.
I don't think we saw
right
the Bengals and Browns combined being as bad as they are overall with the record-wise and how it might not have any impact on the playoff picture whatsoever. I mean, the Bengals were pegged as a playoff team by most people.
Yeah, the Cowboys is a little surprising, too.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you thought 8-9 wins, but not certainly the injuries haven't helped. But this is ugly.
Who's going to pick up Daniel Jones?
I don't know.
There are rumblings about the Raiders, maybe. I would just play.
He can't play.
No,
he can't play. As I said, the worst thing that happened to Chicago was the winning streak playing well. Eberflus kept his job. The worst thing that happened to that organization was the fluke year that he played well. Okay, didn't play anybody. Every close call went their way. Got in the playoffs, beat a Fugazi Vikings team. Cost them $160 million.
So who is your guy, Tommy Meatballs, going to be throwing to this weekend?
Yeah, no kidding. Neighbors begged up.
Malik Neighbors, he did not practice today. Groin injury.
It just gets worse day after day after day. There's something else. Get rid of him. Always playing safety. Guys say this. I don't like how it was handled. Now you're not going to put Drew Lock's ticked off.
Yeah, the whole team is.
They're terrible at home anyways. 0-5. I mean, Tampa should rock and roll. Tampa should blow this team out.
Off the bye.
Yes.
In theory, getting some guys back.
Off the field distractions, man at the front office. Yes.
Yeah. Mayfield should have a really, really good game in this spot against a really bad secondary. Up next, NFL. More Week 12 action. An update on Brock Purdy's injury. A big development not that long ago this afternoon. We'll give you the details on it coming up next here on VSiN.
Join us on a numbers game where Gil Alexander takes you on an informative and entertaining ride, focusing on the numbers that fuel today's bettors.
The Pittsburgh defense is amazing. I'm not doubting that. You think it's impressive, but you don't get how impressive it is. Okay, Mr. Football, we get it. Why do we bet baseball and tennis and other things? Because this league is mashugana.
He sets the table as the money comes in each day, helping you become a sharper bettor. Catch a numbers game weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, only on VSiN, the sports betting network.
So, Paulie, have you had a chance to read the VSiN Daily yet?
Yeah, came in at 3 a.m. What's Bill doing up that late?
Well, rumor has it, it starts off with a 12-hour meditation session.
Then he just pours himself over film and live TV, really focusing and taking it all in. Bill's in with the biggest insiders, talking trade secrets, strategies, the whole nine, absorbing the info.
And then and only then can the writing process begin.
In Las Vegas, Bill's late night becomes your early morning. Wake up to the very latest betting insights in your inbox with the VSiN Daily. Sign up for free at vsin.com/newsletter.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Pretty big development today. 49ers playing at Green Bay on Sunday. Every game for San Francisco moving forward pretty much is a gotta-have-it game. This opened up where? Green Bay -1, 1.5. They are up to 3.5-point favorites now, and there's pretty much no end in sight. Here is your news from not that long ago. Bay Area media reporting that Brock Purdy is not practicing with the 49ers in their final session as it was underway in rain before their flight to Green Bay. Their rotation at practice today, Paulie, Brandon Allen, Josh Dobbs, Tanner Mordecai. So the threes are gone. 3.5s are out there pretty much everywhere. Where do you think this number goes? And this is not looking good at all. Captain Obvious checking in here. Brock Purdy probably not going to play the way it looks this weekend. If he doesn't, where does this number go?
6? I think so. We'll settle on 6.
I think it gets absolutely touches there.
Yeah, because of the weapons that they have, Kittle back and maybe Allen and or Dobbs could do enough. Probably Allen, right? And still baked in, gotta-have-it game. But it's just been a season from hell. Man, I know you're kicking yourself because you didn't have, all you can eat under 11.5 wins with the win total. But to think here, with all these injuries, you're 5-5 and you've been favored in every single game. And now why you're in this situation. So again, you can't give away and blow games time after time. The one thing that could keep you in it, though, is it cold, low-scoring game? Does Love turn it over? He's thrown an interception 8 games in a row. But it's hard to make a case if they're going with a backup like Allen or a journeyman in Dobbs, if they're able to do enough offensively, considering what's gone on this year. And when I need the defense to get a stop, they can't do it. Season from hell.
Right. That stat that Adam Chernoff had with us on Tuesday of this week, that Fred Warner, who he was like one of the top 5 guys to win Defensive Player of the Year not that long ago. He has allowed 30 consecutive receptions to be complete. I can't even, how is that possible? Mm-hmm. He's thought of as one of the best linebackers in football. So you're absolutely right. The injuries are endless here with this team. And this point spread, if and when the Purdy news becomes official, maybe a game time on Sunday, whenever that is, the number is going to keep going up, obviously. This is from earlier this morning. Michael Lombardi from the Lombardi line right here on VSiN. It was his thoughts hours ago on the Brock Purdy situation.
The other one here is Brock Purdy here. I think we've got to monitor that fairly closely because he didn't practice yesterday. No one saw him throw. He went into the side. So today's Friday. It's a big day for him. If he doesn't go, that number is going to shoot up to 5, 6.5, something like that. It's going to go way up.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anybody's going to want to see Brandon Allen at quarterback and bet the 49ers. So it'll be interesting how that works out.
And in fact, he's right. I think the number will continue to climb probably this afternoon. Books might be holding steady right now at 3.5. Maybe action's not coming in fast and furious quite yet.
Is it going to be as bad as when they were humming with Garoppolo, and then he would always get hurt, and then it would be C.J. Beathard or somebody, and they couldn't do anything?
Well, remember...
I mean, how big do you think the drop-off is?
I thought Shanahan did a pretty good job that year in spots with Beathard. In fact, I think
he
Beathard...
had yards, but they couldn't win games. I think it was like 1-9 or something when Jimmy didn't play.
If memory serves here... Did Beathard and the Niners not go to Lambeau as huge dogs against Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay and they almost won the game? And Beathard put up like huge numbers? I don't think I'm dreaming that up.
Yeah.
I'm not late for class here like you once a month 30 years after graduating college.
Final exam. Come on. Oh, could you believe those tweets and emails?
They won't stop.
They won't stop.
Guys,
everyone has that dream.
More people like in their 70s who graduated college from the 70s, it still happens today.
Yeah. Yep, final exam. Oh, I missed the class the whole year. I go, where is it?
Yep.
Or I have the exam. I can't find the class. Oh, it's nuts.
Crazy.
It's tough, though. I mean, it was how it's going to play out. I'd take you back to that New England game where it was Brady and when the Patriots were unstoppable and Rodgers was out. I think it was Matt Flynn. It's when the offensive lineman, the big fat guy, almost returned the kickoff for a touch.
Yeah.
That was a huge point spread, and the Packers almost won that game. So maybe a boost for one game. I don't know. And you trust Shanahan and the offensive weapons, but it's going to be an in-play opportunity, I think, about what does it look like, and we'll see if they can get anything going with Allen.
I think you might be right. The Packers are 28th in DVOA versus tight ends. So in theory, George Kittle could have a game here, but if Purdy's not playing quarterback, Brandon Allen's probably going to have to get him the football, and take your chances with that one. You can be my guest.
Yeah.
So this was one of the games I think everybody circled when the schedule first came out back in May, because, that NFC playoff game was so good, Packers kind of gave the game away. We're not the only ones who have not forgotten about that game. This is Jordan Love talking about the Niners this week.
Yeah, no, I think just ending the season, getting to the playoffs and, being knocked out by the 49ers. I mean, whoever it would have been, that game is definitely going to sit with you. And, that's what you got to, kind of just sit with all offseason, is going back, watching that game, kind of trying to see what you could have done better, what you could have done differently in that game. So it definitely sits with you through the offseason and then obviously move on. But, just knowing that that's the team that knocked us out. We're definitely hungry for this game.
Yeah. You want some revenge, pal? Then don't throw stupid INTs in the game.
So what do you think? He's $1.30 to throw a pick, 8 in a row. What do you think? What do you think of his game so far? I mean, a lot of ups and downs, but again,
God, he's a roller coaster.
Yeah, but he's just got that Will Levis. What are you doing? Play once a game.
It's really bad.
I know it is.
I mean, I'm thinking of the INT against the Rams, the INT against the Lions. I'll forget him how many bad ones he's thrown so far.
Yep.
The INT last week, going in to score to make it 14-3, not even close, sailed over the receiver's head who was wide open.
Yep.
It's a never-ending string with that guy. Maybe that stretch last year that he had in the final half of the season was a little bit of a fluke. I mean, he was the hottest quarterback in football for 2 months.
Yeah. It's good. These big these are huge games late, and the Sunday night game's awesome too. And I'm really getting there with the Eagles, and I used them in the contest. Everything. Sal Powell's breakdown on the defense.
Yeah.
Not to mention number 1 in takeaways since week 8. We keep pointing out the importance of A.J. Brown, 7-0 with him, 30 points per game, and how the offense looks, and Barkley. And I just think they'll be able to turn over Stafford here, and they'll make the plays offensively, and get it done. And a good chance that they're right there in the mix for the 1 seed, too, and the wins keep coming.
Yeah, let me give you some numbers here on McVay and Stafford. You know where I'm going with this, Paulie. McVay is 9-14 straight up and 6-15 ATS in his last 23 November games. Now, people might hear that and say, that's meaningless, whatever. Remember, there was a stretch for a long time where I think it was the Packers who could not lose games in December, and it was Phillip Rivers, like every single year with the Chargers. They won every game in December for like 4 years in a row.
Yeah.
Like that was actually a thing. Matthew Stafford, 32-61 straight up, 33-58 ATS against teams with a winning record since 2011. And you point that out all the time.
That's right.
That's a black eye for him.
Yep.
And he's also 8-28 straight up and 12-23 ATS as a home underdog going back to his days with Detroit as well.
Mm-hmm. Philly. 8-2 to the under first quarter and 2-8 ATS first quarter. Remember, much was made about they couldn't do a damn thing in the first quarter. Sunday night football, 37-18 under run as well. That's under the radar. So a big game, big opportunity. But again, you can't like what you've seen the last few games out of the Rams. And it was just kind of a weird Thursday night when they knocked off the Vikings.
Right.
That's going to happen. But how they struggle against New England, and I just think the way Philly's playing defensively and taking the ball away, and rest assured, whether it's Brown or Barkley, too many weapons. Someone will make some big plays, and they'll get the win, and what will be plenty of Eagle fans.
Yep. Lions laying 7.5. Total is 50.5 in this game against the Colts. They are 14-4 straight up and 15-3 ATS when coming off a double-digit win since 2018. That's pretty big because there are some numbers that indicate that certain teams will blow out wins. It comes back to bite them the next game. Not with Detroit. They're not complacent. They're never happy. They want to improve every single week. The Colts on defense, they are 29th against wide receiver number 3, 26th against tight ends, allowing 59-plus yards per game. Sam Laporta got cleared today. He's good to go. And so I think it could be a good game for him. The Lions do allow 86 yards per game to wide receiver number 1. Indoors here, good weather, obviously. We're going to get some points. Lions can be scored upon.
Yes, they can. Then the Lions going to keep covering. This is a tough week. There are 8 road dogs. We already saw one go down now. 8 road dogs.
Right.
Road favorites, 8 road favorites, and we already saw what happened last night. So if they can keep this going. But with the Colts, they haven't been this big a dog at home since 2017. And the fact that you're 31st in time of possession. Can you move the chains? Can you take the ball away from Goff, keep him on the sidelines, and are you going to turn the ball over, which has been a big problem with them, and that's where Detroit's excelled as well. So, but it goes back again what Campbell's done, and this run that they keep covering. The one thing that has caught my attention 8 road games against teams with a losing record. Goff 2-6 straight up with the Lions.
Yeah.
So it's always like, what happened here? Why do you lose that game? What bizarre? And it happened last year against Chicago.
Man, I love this Lions team. I have several tickets on them on futures. This is a huge number. I think in contest, I'm probably going to be on the Colts this weekend.
Okay. All right. Our best deal ever, Black Friday special. Sign up today. Everything we do through May 1st, $60. Every best bet, every host, every guest. Premium analysis, 24/7 video access. Best offer of the year, VSiN.com/subscribe. Get it now.
More NFL up next. His record with extra rests is the exact opposite of what it's supposed to be. Find out the coach next here on VSiN.
You spoke, we listened. Introducing the all-new VSiN Watch app. Now, you can watch and listen to VSiN expert analysis live wherever you are. Missed a show? No problem. Catch replays of VSiN's full lineup at any time. View highlights sorted by sport. Or use the search feature to find specific teams and topics you're looking for. And the best part? It's free for a limited time. Download the VSiN Watch app today. Available now on the App Store and Google Play. And join us on the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Strong show. Great week. Pat Forty in 30 minutes on college football. He's going to be in Columbus tomorrow for Ohio State and Indiana. We'll get his thoughts on that game and the other big spots this weekend as well. Paulie, more NFL here. You mentioned this earlier. Great late games. This is a big one, obviously. Cardinals against the Seahawks. Through the money line, all over the place. Some spots still, right now, they have Seattle favored by 1. I see others with the Cardinals favored by 1.5. The total is hovering around 47.5. Kyler Murray, 2-7 straight up, and ATS, the last 9 starts as a favorite, in case he goes off as the favorite here. All these numbers that we're going to talk to you about are at VSiN.com. Do you have a strong opinion on this game?
Yeah, I love Arizona. Yep. Because, this would have been the 9th road favorite here, but as you mentioned, they've been playing games with this all week. What happened to Pete Carroll and the Legion of Boom? This used to be an intimidating place. You couldn't win there, and now anything but. They're 1-5 ATS at home. Geno is on a 3-10 ATS run at home. The covers, Dobbs, Dalton, Skylar Thompson. Yikes. So between him turning the ball over and with all his interceptions and how Arizona continues to do this, Gannon has fixed the defense, big playability, still not getting much out of Harrison, but finding ways to do it. And what Murray's done also on the ground, I like his rushing yards over. I just think I think Arizona should be favored. I think Arizona takes them out. And Murray's been great in some of these spots. It's a 23-12 and 1 underrun on the road. But you can't get in front of this team right now during this winning streak and what they're doing and how the offense has looked. And the fact that Geno's been up and down. And great job to go with that game-winning drive. But he struggled much of the game. And it hasn't been a difficult place to play. And why are they so bad the last 2 years at home?
Yep. I will have awesome numbers on James Conner and Kenneth Walker a little bit later on, about an hour from right now on the program when we go over player props. And, Arizona off the bye here, playing some pretty damn good football. They can win this division.
Oh, yeah.
And if they do that, talking about coach of the year, Jonathan Gannon might just come out of nowhere and steal this thing. That can happen. Also, potential weather game here. Expecting rain, 60+%, in fact. Weather probably in the mid-40s, so it could be slick on Sunday. Patriots playing at the Dolphins. News not that long ago. Cornerback Christian Gonzalez for the Patriots, now questionable in this spot. Dolphins have ticked up to a 7.5-point favorite. Total on the move as well at 46.5. Mm-hmm. Miami, 29-16 straight up. And ATS against teams with a losing record since 2019. Tua in warm weather and in home games. 22-8 straight up, 20-10 ATS. We talked about that when they play at Lambeau on Thursday, Thanksgiving night. He's dreadful when the weather's below 40 degrees. The exact opposite at home.
Yep.
I totally agree with this total on the move.
Yep.
It was one of my first reads that we had on Monday. We went over the early lines.
Miami's covered 8 in a row against them. Tua was 6-0 against the Pats. New England also feisty hanging in these games. But, one thing along with the conservative play calling and coaching by Mayo, 29th in red zone efficiency, too many field goals. And again, Henry receiving yards over after what Bowers did to the Dolphins. He's in the low 40s, and you have to go right back to Drake May, rushing yards over. They will not adjust on this. It's in the mid-20s again. Yep. He's averaging 9.3 yards per carry. The record for a quarterback is Mike Vick, 8.5 in 2006. So he only has to take off a couple times, like the one game he got it in the first quarter right off the bat. But I think this will set up an intriguing Thanksgiving game as Miami gets the win in a high-scoring game.
How high do you want to go with the ladder of Drake May? Yeah, I'm looking right now as low as 25.5 some spots. Do you want to go to 40?
Yeah. What are we looking at?
25.5, 26.5?
No.
The plus 50, price? Yeah, I don't have the ladders in front of me, but...
Yeah, you could do, yes. Definitely with Henry. I mean, this
is also... Now, his numbers are really high. Like the rushing and receiving combined for Devon Achane is 105.5. This... Figuring out McDaniel and what he's going to do in the backfield has been a little tricky to me. But this should absolutely be a good spot for Devon Achane to have a huge game, rushing and or receiving. He should be able to get whatever he wants against this really bad Patriots defense.
We've seen enough football now, so we know who these teams are.
Correct.
And the one thing to look at, too, is turnovers. Who continues to give it away and who takes it away or is also great with the turnover battle and with the ball. So this isn't a ball-hawking defense. We'll get to Washington, Dallas coming up, which is a perfect example. But New England only one takeaway in the last 5 games. Oof. So it should be a comfortable game for Tua and a game where they can move it. And maybe you get a May mistake or they're trading 7s for 3s here in this game. But it becomes interesting if Miami gets this one and they can shock. They're only 3.5-point dog, but they go into Lambeau and win because suddenly they could get hot and the schedule doesn't look that difficult that they could make a playoff run.
All right, it's time for you to shine. I will tee you up here again. Buccaneers at the Giants. I'm just joking. But this is the guy I was talking about before the break. It's the exact opposite of what a coach should be like with extra rest. Again, VSiN.com, Steve Mackinnon, great numbers. Read it every single week. Todd Bowles is 4-12 straight up and 3-12 ATS when his team plays with extra rest. More than 7 days since 2017. What?
Yeah, that's bizarre.
Okay.
I think he'll have something ready for Tommy Cutlets, though.
He's also 12-2 to the under. So this is where both of these things are correlated. Bowles 12-2 under as a road favorite, but really the big boy is this. The Giants are 22-4 under the total as a home dog since 2020. I mean, my God, is that strong.
Yep.
And they are 51-25 under in general since 2020.
Giants 29th against the run. So do they stay committed early and pound them on the ground? I think it's a big game for Tracy, too, on the ground for the Giants, is you don't want Tommy throwing that much. But the other thing is the whole part of this handicap is, and you see the move with the number, is just everyone pissed off at what the organization just did to Danny Dimes. And then, again, day after day after day, it was something. Drew Lock didn't like how it was handled. Lawrence said we can still consider him quarterback number 1. Then he's playing on a safety in practice, and then they release him after he asked for it today. So it's just horrible at home, can't cover at home, and all the unders, too. So the other thing is just why have the depth chart? Why bring the guy in with all, as we talked about with Charch, with the we don't want to play the guy because of the contract incentives, and then we'll throw Tommy Cutlets out there as well. But this is where they have to shine. This is where we said get a piece of Tampa futures to make the playoffs. Giants, Carolina twice, Raiders, Dallas, New Orleans, Chargers. It's right there for them.
That's like 6 wins potentially.
Yeah. Not to mention if Atlanta spits the bit,
which
they can win the
probably
division.
Will.
And that was 5-1 last week. Would Tampa win the division?
What are they right now?
250, I think. 225.
That's live.
So, I think so. I'm not with Charge 2 on our guy Otten. I mean, I'm fine with Otten over 47.5. I just think the whole thing, the whole program is toxic right now. After what they did. You got a coach who knows he's going to get whacked. You're playing a guy out there who's not an NFL quarterback that shouldn't be out there, and everyone knows he's buried on a depth chart, but moved up because, what else are we going to do? Play out the string. Maybe some fans will come out and watch this mess. So I just think it's going to be a bad environment all the way around, and they'll be all over them if it's 10-0 Tampa early. And I expect them to roll.
Credit where credit is due. I saw a Twitter clip today from Matthew Berry's podcast along with Jay Croucher. They had some phenomenal numbers on this. The Giants allow a completion percentage of 77% on throws 20-plus yards down the field.
Get out.
The next worst team is 55%.
Get out.
And as they pointed out, the 2 quarterbacks who are leading the league in completion percentage are at 73% this year. They allow 77% on passes 20-plus yards down the field. One of the most incredible stats I've ever heard.
That's good.
So I bet Evans. Barry, his love-hate, he loves Mike Evans. So I played his yards over. His longest completion is like 20.5 you can find at some spots. Well, you think if he's supposed to be back and okay, right?
Yeah.
Don't they take at least one shot deep to him?
I like it. The other thing, ignore the record. This is a good football team. They're the 3rd team in the Super Bowl era to average 28 points per game this deep in the season and yet be under 500.
One of those Rams teams?
It was a Saints team, too.
Okay.
But that's just how they've had a tough schedule, and they've had some tough losses.
Yeah, some bad breaks.
Look at the resume. Blew out Washington. I know it was Daniel's first start. Beat the Lions, okay? Run out by Denver, weird game, okay, but you beat the Eagles. The coin flip games, both against Atlanta. And then you just see they're in the losing streak. Baker turned it over. Tough against Baltimore. There's the Atlanta game. Chief game goes to overtime. Niners game, you lose on a walk-off at the gun.
Yeah.
This is a good team.
If they had some breaks, I mean, how many more wins do they have? If he doesn't turn the ball over, but those were some egregious throws against Baltimore, they could easily won that game.
Come on now.
The Chiefs game overtime,
schedule.
like you said.
Yeah, sorry. Look at that schedule. Look at this. They're set up coming right off the bye. they're set up to just knock this out of the park.
Boy, what are the Falcons? I haven't even looked. What are the Falcons not to make the playoffs?
That is a big price.
I think that team absolutely stinks.
Yeah. That's a big price. But the thing is, they only lost one division game, so every tiebreaker will go Atlanta's way.
Yeah. You bet the Broncos too, right? -5?
I did, yes.
And that's touched 6.5.
They got them 34-18 in week 1, and again, it goes back to what I just talked about. The Raiders, number 1 in turnovers. They continue to give it away. And they have the worst rushing attack in the league, and White's banged up and Madison's banged up.
Oh, yeah.
So
Should go well for them.
Yeah, become one-dimensional as it is. Okay, forget it.
I don't even like watching their games. I don't. It's
Call El Lasso. Go watch a game.
Yeah, I'll pass. I've been to a game with him, actually. Win some, lose some. Up next, you won't believe how long the losing streak is now after last night. Details next on VSiN.
Got a good thing coming, just wait and see. It's a good.
Matt Brown and Mike Somich are on Ready, Set, Bet as they get you ready to make your bets as the last batch of football games kick off.
What I took away from this is I want to bet against the Patriots when they're behind by 2 scores.
We were going, well, I wonder if this team's actually better than we thought. They're not. They don't have enough talent.
Don't miss out on crucial advice for live betting once the game starts, as well as looking ahead to the upcoming action. Tune in to Ready, Set, Bet Saturdays at 7 p.m. and Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern on VSiN, the sports betting network. last night? Wow, winning. Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Paulie Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
All right. Revenge game for Nick Chubb. Remember the injury? Good breakdown from Rizzo. Hope he had it. Our guy ESPN Cleveland. Chubb first touchdown plus 650. Scored twice. Most receiving yards, Judy, plus 320. Wilson over 225. Plus 290. Wilson to have more passing yards than Winston. Plus 155. Scoreless quarter plus 220. 2-point conversion plus 280. Winston, anytime touchdown, 8-1. Get in there, big fella.
How about a tie after the first quarter?
Eat that W. Good one.
Yeah.
Yes, very good. Yes, a lot of that stuff came in. College hoops, St. Joe's plus 450. Stonehill, plus, you ever hear of them? Plus 450. 10-point dogs against Bryant. Seton Hall plus 250. Bob Morris plus 350. Florida Atlantic plus 2 and off the favorite. They got there. They just lost today already against Drake, though. Drake 5-0 on the season. Eastern Michigan plus 260. In the over, 128.5 up to 134.5. Fell 132. Subscribe, be part of the team, VSiN.com. Our radio and podcast friends at Paulie Does Vegas on Instagram. Send everything in. We'll put you on TV. It's that easy. Just one request here from the dog, right? You're walking around. Yeah, can you rub my belly? It's kind of like the opposite of one. Remember, you had to get, you wanted the sweeper? With the sweeper, this guy he wants to get ahead of the owner every time they go for a walk or they're in the living room, and he gets ahead and just rolls over and just keep rubbing the belly. That's all I ask. That's all I want. It's got to see him. Look at the little guy. He sprints all the way ahead of the human and just rolls over. Little rub? Can I do that? Huh? That's good. You remember Monica, the girl way back in the day. She had a Chihuahua. He always did that.
The same thing?
Same thing. Like, always come right in, rub the belly. He would also urinate when he would get excited.
Oh, they all do that.
It's like when you look down, I'm wet.
Oh,
what happened?
Constantly, yeah.
I know. Bad beat. Thursday night football, lose some. Under 42 down to 36.5. San Francisco plus 2 and off the favorite. Lost to Memphis. And UC San Diego over. 141 up to 145.5. Also no good. Couple bad beats. Lakers money line. Up 2 with 10 seconds. Anthony Davis misses both free throws, and then the Magic hit a 3. Oh, bad loss by the Lakers. First home loss this year in St. John's. Tough one there. You got the money because they were dogs. They lost, but they blew that game. And great game, but St. John's can't lose that.
I think they had a chance. Yeah, I mean, they were blowing Baylor out in the first half. Baylor came all the way back, and then they were leading late. And then it goes to double overtime. I could say this. Both teams probably had like 10 chances to win the game.
Yeah. Looking for some action? Our friends at First Bet have you covered. Sign up today. Unlock exclusive promotions. Watch and wager. Hundreds of exciting horse races every day across the country and around the world. Sign up, firstbet.com. Promo code VSiN200. Get a 20% rebate for your first 60 days up to $200. Firstbet.com today. It's going to be a great week here in Las Vegas with the F1. And I know there was stuff on social media with all the Bugattis outside a win. Oh, man. Would you do, if you were worth, let's say you were $20 million, would you have a car like that? I'd just be so freaked out something would happen to it, or someone would key it, or...
I'm not a big car guy. Never was. No. Never needed to have like a super impressive car.
70,000, 80,000, good enough? Get a Mercedes,
whatever.
Lexus, whatever.
Here's the thing. I just don't want the car to break down.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, just be reliable. Get me from point A to point B. My two older brothers were into, and I love this, but I never got into it myself. They had muscle cars up the wazoo when I was growing up. Like completely stacked. 426 Hemi, my brother's Nova, the big fat tires on it, just 0 to 60 in like 5 seconds. It was awesome, but I just never followed their lead.
Yeah. Speaking of car guys, you see what happened to Jay Leno? Are you buying in that story?
No.
He fell down a hill? Looks like someone hit him with the 2x4.
That or he set on fire. That doesn't happen from falling down a hill.
I fell down a hill, he said. His whole face is black and blue.
Yeah.
I don't know. Neon City Festival as well. Remember Derek Stevens, King in the North, talked about this Tuesday. Downtown Las Vegas all weekend. Concerts going, all the stages. 1st Street, 3rd Street, Main Street, great bands as well. F1, and then all the basketball next week, too. I mean, that tournament down the road Tuesday, and I can't believe they did this, but Alabama, Houston, Kansas, Duke going on at the same time. One at the MGM, one at T-Mobile.
Bizarre. But all of those tournaments are completely loaded to the gills as always. the Maui, the Battle for Atlantis. All of them are just, I wanted to bet Indiana to win the Battle for Atlantis. They're like, I think, plus 550, but they have to play like Gonzaga in the second round. That's a nice path for them. And then after that, they get like Arizona or something like that. So 29 years ago, the movie Casino was released today.
Really?
Yeah.
Saw it in the theater. It was awesome.
You and I have different opinions on that movie.
What do you mean? What's your beef?
I think that Sharon Stone ruins the movie.
Come on.
I can't stand the yelling.
That's too strong. Ruins. I mean, it's an over-the-top performance. A lot of people liked it, but it's...
I can't stand her for a second of that movie. I got to mute it or else fast forward whenever she's on the screen.
Ace, get out. She's poison.
I can't stand her. I love Sharon Stone, but that role is just it's so annoying to me. I take Goodfellas any day of the week.
Oh, wow. See, I'm Casino. I love it. And I got your head in a vice.
I mean, there are many great scenes, obviously, but...
It's a true story. That's the best part. They landed the plane. The plane's out there if you go to the golf course. The plane's right out there.
I'm pointing. People, you know where I'm talking about?
They land the plane. The plane on the golf course. And
bullet holes in the house still.
And him go, and Rosenthal going, that too, right. Derek Stevens could have bought the pride. It was available. It's like, that'll never go down in value where he lived. And Rosenthal going to Tony Romo's and the car blown up. But he survives. And he was pissed off afterwards because he just had hair transplants. He's like, hey, he almost died. Yeah, but the hair transplants, bad beat.
Let me give you this. So here's the longest losing streak in the NBA. It continued after last night, or continues after last night. The last time the Minnesota Timberwolves won in Toronto, this is a tweet from Automatic on X. Grady Dick was 2 months old, now turning into a star for the Raptors.
What?
Scoot Henderson and Derek Lively were not born yet. And LeBron James had fewer than 1,000 career points.
I was not aware of this.
It's a 20-year streak. Minnesota cannot win Toronto. I was totally blindsided by that streak last night after the game was over with. Had no idea.
That is weird.
Yeah.
That's some good teams. FTM at VSiN.com, tweet, email, hear from you. Casino, Goodfellas. And your thoughts on Casino. Is Casino better than Goodfellas and your thoughts overall? I think Casino's a classic. I love Goodfellas too. But there's some great performances in Casino, and I love the
I agree. I don't agree. You're spot on with that. I mean, De Niro's awesome. Pesci's fantastic. And beyond. That's actually a good topic one day. What movie would have been would have been epic without the performance from one person? Like, which person absolutely took a sledgehammer to the movie, otherwise it would have been better? To me, it's Sharon Stone in Casino.
Are there that many examples?
Oh, there might be. I don't know. I mean...
Someone who...
The movie would have been so much better without this person's performance, yeah.
Interesting. Because it's hard to knock it because it's an all-timer, but I couldn't stand Walter White's wife in Breaking Bad.
That's a perfect example of a TV show, yeah.
Horrible actress.
I'll give you another one. And now, evidently, she's a great human being. Gretchen Mol, the way she played Matt Damon's girlfriend in Rounders. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Aggravating. But that's how, that's good acting, I guess.
Here's a problem I have. I've seen Goodfellas too many times.
Okay.
I love the movie, but it's like, that's another one that's on all the time. But
I'll give you that.
Casino's also long. And then the Las Vegas angle and the gambling and the skim in the back and everything. True story and robbing the jewelry store. And let's talk turkey here. Oh. Okay, come on. Great.
Were you live betting the game last night at all?
Yeah, it didn't go well.
You were betting under?
Yeah.
Because you were expecting the weather to get worse.
After what happened, yeah. I'm thinking
nothing happened right away.
And then, all of a sudden it came out of nowhere, right? So, it's snowing, but then it's, here comes the blizzard. And then then the points happened.
Wilson, bombs away still down the field.
Yeah.
The snow didn't bother him for a second. I can't believe how laughable Tomlin was trying to kick that field goal from 58. What is he doing?
I was sitting on a couple juicy ones. I was calling for the Fields prop, which I couldn't find.
You did.
The guy ripped one off. He almost broke that. Could have been a long touchdown, but he had some rushing yards. Maybe we'll see something similar with Trey Lance. And then I was sitting on Freiermuth, most right receiving, which he had 50, I think, and it was in the mix there too late.
He was.
So a lot happened from a prop standpoint, but fantastic game.
By the way, what was he for most receiving yards? Remember?
It was a big number.
Oh, and I'll give you another one, by the way.
At home. Yeah.
Judy had 6 for 85. There's something here for sure. Since Winston took over, I mean, he was forcing the ball to Jerry Jeudy last night. And oh, by the way, Jeudy in other spots was getting completely wide open. So in terms of player props, his numbers were still reduced last night. I mean, it was like I don't remember the receptions, but the yardage was in the low 40s.
Well, Pickens' longest catch went over 2. They're not adjusting on that enough.
Yeah.
They're taking big shots
Wilson
down the field with that
deep
guy.
all the time
You
in
can't
games.
put up a mid-20s on him.
Yeah.
Longest reception.
Mm-hmm. All right, follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We'll hit college football coming up next. Pat Forty is going to join the program. He's covered the sport for a long, long time. He's going to be in Columbus for the Buckeyes and Hoosiers tomorrow. And we are seeing both sides here, right? Mainstream folks predicting a blowout, but the betting market disagreed with that yesterday. Where does Pat fall on this game? We'll ask him coming up here on VSiN.
This Black Friday, get a VSiN Pro subscription for just $60 through May 1st. Our best deal of the year